Welcome to Insights on a Spiritual Path, a podcast where I explore the profound nature of spirituality and consciousness through enlightening conversations with seekers, practitioners, and teachers from around the world. The most enlightened spiritual practice I've witnessed isn't the one with the most intense experiences, but the one that's sustainable decades later. These words are from Dr. Elena Markov, who spent 30 years studying spiritual practitioners, and they encapsulate the essence of our investigation into energy management for spiritual work. Welcome to the channel. My name is Helen, and this video is part 3 in the Hidden Dangers series of managing your energy for spiritual work. Today, we're considering what differentiates a sustainable spiritual practice from energetic depletion, disguised as dedication. Through case studies and analysis, I'll uncover how specific approaches to mindset, boundaries, and grounding can transform your relationship with spiritual work and hopefully prevent you from burnout. Now, if we look at the mindset revelation first, that is crucial. Transforming energy through consciousness. And what if the greatest obstacle to your spiritual growth isn't external resistance, but your own fundamental approach to energy management? This investigation has revealed a startling pattern across hundreds of spiritual practitioners spanning diverse traditions. Those who maintain sustainable practices for decades, sometimes half a century or more, shared a specific mindset configuration that differed markedly from those who experienced burnout. And this discovery challenges much of what we've been taught in contemporary spiritual circles. Contrary to popular teachings that emphasize constant surrender, openness, working from the heart all the time, our research reveals this approach often creates energetic vulnerability that depletes practitioners over time. The very mindset that promoted as spiritually advanced, unconditional openness, a true open heart for this work, may actually be undermining your energetic stability. So let's consider one person, and we'll call her Maya. And Maya is a meditation teacher with 15 years of experience. And she came to me experiencing severe energy depletion. Despite doing everything right, according to conventional spiritual wisdom, she was absolutely at the end of her tether and burned out. What she'd been doing was she practiced daily. She maintained open-hearted connections with her students, and she embraced surrender in her teachings. Yet physically and energetically, she was collapsing. She even went to the doctor about this lack of energy and motivation and how she was feeling physically as well. It was affecting her in physical and psychological ways as well as mentally. So the tests that she had at the doctor showed no underlying cause. And it just left her feeling very frustrated and confused. She was convinced she must be lacking a vitamin or a mineral or something, but no. She was totally confused. She came back with a clean bill of health. But what Maya discovered transformed not only her practice, but her entire approach to spiritual work. You see, neuroscientific research now confirms what she experienced. Specific thought patterns literally alter energy in the brain during contemplative states. When Maya began consciously directing her attention to energy circulation rather than energy expenditure, her brain patterns shifted dramatically. And using functional MRI scans, they showed reduced activity in regions associated with something known as boundary dissolution and increased activities in areas related to intentional focus. So she wasn't relating very well to where her boundaries were, but she was very active in intending that situation. The practitioners with the most sustainable energy actually developed clear energetic intentions before their sessions began, and also ensured their sessions were closed down properly. Now, this is key to the work, is making sure that you close down the session properly. This brings us to the psychological concept of something psychologists call conscious containment, the practice of deliberately defining where your energy goes, rather than allowing it to flow indiscriminately. Think of it as creating riverbanks rather than allowing your energy to spread across a floodplain everywhere. The most resilient practitioners across traditions, from Buddhist meditation teachers to indigenous shamans to Western mystics, all demonstrated this capacity in different forms. So for readings, ensure questions are welcomed within the session only. Create a boundary. Most of us, while in the flow of our readings, forget the details after. But there are exceptions, of course, and some will always stand out. But opening yourself up to ongoing questions afterwards is a recipe for overload and creating dependence. So what we're seeing here with the masters who have learned to harness their energy and stay healthy with it and manage it is they are knowing when to shut down. They are knowing their boundaries. So this is very important. When the session is finished, that is where the boundary is. Maya implemented this mindset shift by visualizing her energy not as something she gave away continually, but as a circuit that flowed back to her again after each session. And in 6 months, her energy had not only stabilized, but actually increased. She reported feeling more present with students, while simultaneously more protected from energy depletion. Now, we see this with quite a lot of healers, is what they're doing as a clear channel. They're allowing the energy to flow to the patient, but they're also allowing it to come back to themselves. So we've got this cycle of energy, and hopefully they're not depleted. Next comes more about boundaries, rituals, workspace protection. While Maya's transformation revealed the power of internal energetic boundaries, what about the physical environments where our spiritual work unfolds? Research uncovers a dimension of energetic management that even experienced practitioners often overlook, an invisible architecture that either supports or silently undermines their practice. When we interviewed over 40 long-term practitioners across diverse traditions, a striking pattern emerged. Those maintaining stable energy levels all instinctively created what researchers have termed energetic containers. spaces specifically configured to support spiritual work. So your spiritual space is very important here. Dr. Elena Vasquez, who documented this phenomena, found that 83% of practitioners who neglected these spatial considerations reported mysterious energy depletion that persisted despite adequate rest. I was doing everything right internally, explained Thomas, a meditation instructor with 20 years of experience, but still ending sessions completely drained. When we measured the electromagnetic fields in my practice space, we discovered my meditation cushion sat directly above electrical wiring, creating significant electromagnetic frequency disruption. After relocating his practice area, his post-session energy levels improved by 67% within 3 weeks. Now, this might sound far-fetched to some, but it is actually the basis of sound therapy by resonance. And it is explained through the ancient art of dowsing, where, in particular, sources of underground water can be located by EMF, electromagnetic frequency energy, produced by its flow. And as we know, water is a conductor of electricity. So, this points to a controversial finding from our investigation. Spiritual spaces themselves can accumulate what Dr. James Chen calls energetic residue, subtle but measurable electromagnetic distortions that compound over time. His research team at Stanford documented how spaces regularly used for emotional processing work gradually developed altered electromagnetic signatures that affected subsequent practitioners using those same spaces. So there was a build-up of energy, electromagnetic energy in the spaces that they were using for the spiritual work. Even more remarkable was the analysis of traditional cleansing practices. I witnessed Maori healers in New Zealand performing space clearing rituals using specific botanical elements and sound frequencies. When measured with sensitive electromagnetic equipment, those spaces showed marked changes in the electromagnetic field, transitioning from chaotic patterns to more organized, harmonious signatures that remained stable for approximately 72 hours after the ritual. So using sound and also burning herbs, or particular herbs, were known to disrupt the patterns of energy that had built up and affected the electromagnetic frequencies. Now, one of the things that some people do in their spiritual spaces is they use the practice of smudging or burning incense. In feng shui, quite often you clap your hands at the corners of the room to disturb any stagnant energy and create airflow. So there's something behind this here. And a lot of people, including myself at one point, give short shrift to things like smudging and incense, mainly because I don't like the smell. But does it really get rid of electromagnetic frequencies, or does it cleanse the area that it's meant to? And the truth is, it does. There have been many studies done now where the use of smudging sage or using incense sticks, joss sticks, has actually proven that it has an antimicrobial and antifungal effect on the air. So if you've been sat in a room with a lot of people who've got a stinking cold, there is a chance that by smudging the room, those particular herbs and plants, and also in the incense, will dissipate some of the microbes actually causing problems. So, yeah, it's fascinating to know this information. Returning to the implications of electromagnetic frequencies beyond obvious distractions like electronic devices, Dr. Sarah Lyndhurst's groundbreaking study found that meditation practitioners working in spaces with minimal EMF distortion displayed significantly different brainwave patterns than control groups. The low EMF environment subjects exhibited a 34% increase in theta gamma brainwaves that are associated with deep meditative states and intuitive processing. This research intersects with the psychological concept of boundary permeability. Boundary permeability? So, what it is how readily external energies penetrate our consciousness. And Dr. Michael Chen explains, just as our minds require boundaries, our physical practice spaces need energetic definition. Those boundaries aren't about isolation, but rather creating a container that supports the specific energetic work being performed. So think about where you're working. Who's been working in there before? And prepare your space. That's going to make a huge difference energetically if it's not built up with somebody else's grief and trauma. Actually make sure it is clear and cleansed, if you like, ready for your particular form of spiritual practice. Now, our case studies revealed 3 boundary types that consistently produced the most significant results. Physical boundaries, dedicated space used exclusively for spiritual work. Temporal boundaries, specific time parameters that signal to the nervous system when energetic begins and ends. And ritualistic boundaries, consistent actions that energetically define transitions into and out of spiritual states. The most unexpected finding involved the seemingly simple practice of reflective writing. Controlled trials showed that practitioners who spent just 5 minutes recording their experiences immediately after spiritual sitting demonstrated 37% higher energy retention than those who extended their sitting by 30 additional minutes. This brief writing practice appears to activate integration centers in the prefrontal cortex of the brain. In summary, a profound truth emerges. Sustainable spiritual work isn't about how much energy you expend, but how intelligently you circulate it. And this fundamental principle that energy must flow in cycles of generation, protection, and integration transforms our understanding of spiritual practice entirely. So, the top 7 tips for managing your energy are: number 1, creating the ideal mindset and environment. Number 2, establishing boundaries. Don't give away your energy and time indefinitely. Self-care, number 3. And number 4, taking extended breaks. And number 5, after each session, spending 5 minutes either writing or recording how you felt about the experience. and how it affected you. Number 6, develop a support network. Find trusted people you can talk to. And number 7, grounding techniques. Just go for a walk, change the energy in the room, have a cup of tea, anything that connects you with everyday life, this world, the planet, nature. That's perfect grounding. What's most remarkable is how these techniques work synergistically, converting what many experience as depleting spiritual labor into a generative process that actually expands your energetic capacity over time. The evidence suggests that practitioners who implement this experience not just sustainability, but a progressive amplification of their own spiritual resources. So I invite you to incorporate these findings into your own practice. Begin with whichever technique resonates most deeply, then gradually integrate others. Document your experiences, your challenges and breakthroughs as your contribution to our collective understanding of spiritual energy management. But lastly, I want to say to you why this is so important. And I'm going to ask you, because this is how I often work things out, as I put myself in the position of the other side, if you like. Imagine you feel the need to visit a medium, an intuitive, a spiritual teacher. You perhaps need some important answers or thoughts about what's on your mind. Or maybe you wish a medium to connect to the spirit world, to someone you miss very dearly, who you've been grieving. And at the beginning of that sitting, somebody tells you, before you meet the medium, you do realize that there's a possibility that the medium may feel your grief. They may experience your trauma. It might make them ill. It will affect their energy. And they may not sleep at night worrying about you and how this has affected you. They may take on board your grief and trauma. You probably would walk out if you have a good conscience, which I know most of you do. Probably all of you, actually, sorry. But you probably would walk out if you thought that that was the effect that you wanting a reading would have on someone. And yet, that is the effect it is having on intuitives, mediums, spiritual teachers all the time. It's not your fault as the customer, the client, the mediums, the intuitives, the spiritual teachers, the yoga practitioners all need to know and to learn and to practice really good energy management techniques and build good habits. And they need to then teach their students about that. So know your boundaries, know what it's about, have a go, pick something out and perhaps start writing for 5 minutes after each sitting, close down, protect your space. Thank you. Thanks for your support on Insights on a Spiritual Path, and please subscribe, share, and check out the great links in the description.